You could be wiser as an educated advisor. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, HSA accounts and Roth IRAs, part 3 of our series on millennial tax-free retirement. All here on Let's Get Down to Business. Okay, welcome to segment 3. We're talking again about how are we going to make this total tax-free idea under the current code. Again, in the first segment, we talked about Gen X, Gen Y, millennial generation, and why they should look at this. And number 2, the second segment, we talked about qualified plans. Again, we're not down on it, but you have to have the math make the call. If your employer's actually matching, that's a good thing. You should be in it. If you have a high tax bracket, you should probably look at that. We'll take care of the Roth conversion on that later. But these are the 5 areas that we should be looking at to make a totally tax-free retirement. The first one is, in my view, if I could do this all over again, I would be fully funding my health savings account before I saved for anything else. 2 reasons. 1, I get the full tax deduction, and number 2, remember, I can take this all out tax-free. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit. Roth IRAs, again, if I'm not in a high tax bracket, I might as well get a Roth. I don't have any of the impositions of ERISA on top of that. There's a few 5-year rules that we can get into, but really fundamentally tax-free coming out. Cash value life insurance. If you take out a collateralized policy loan and withdrawals to basis on a TAMRA compliant life insurance contract, you can take that money out, and as long as that contract is kept in force for the life of the client, the life of the insured, that money can come out tax-free. And the last one is the Home Equity Conversion Mortgage Program, HECM, known as reverse mortgage income. That money's totally tax-free. So if you could actually figure out a way to fund these 4 basic ideas under current code, your Social Security then would be left to say, will it be taxed? And I would use my deductions, tax deductions, and my exemptions to overcome any of my Tier 1 taxation during that time. If it's done correctly, and especially if I know I'm getting closer and closer to retirement, I should be able to manage all 5 of these and actually create, under current code, a totally tax-free retirement. Now, before I talk about this, remember, prospects and clients, everything we talk about, whether it's the actual framework that your investment's in, HSA, Roth IRA, cash value life insurance, reverse mortgage, and what you're putting inside that framework, which could be mutual funds, ETFs, annuities, REITs, whatever you're purchasing, always remember to do a risk tolerance test for product suitability. Is it suitable to be in an HSA? Is it suitable to be using a Roth IRA? Is it suitable to be doing mutual funds, ETFs, REITs, annuities? Look at the suitability issue and match it up with the client's psychonomics. This is a huge issue. We should be building a cornerstone for all our clients. This is where it starts out at risk tolerance test. Now, I know it's not all science, but it's a good place to start. Now, health savings accounts. Not only is it tax deductible, but I can use it for many things. I can use it for disability insurance, medical insurance, long-term care insurance, Medicare insurance. Those premiums can come out of my health savings account. As long as I have legitimate medical needs, all those expenses can come out as well. And keep in mind that when you're looking at an HSA account, I don't have to wait till 59 and a half or any date like that. I can actually use it if I need it. And here's another plus that most people don't know about HSA accounts, and it's profound. Somewhere along the line, you may not be able to make contributions to your HSA. Maybe it was a tough year, maybe it was a poor year, and you couldn't make contributions. In any year that you didn't make contributions and you still had a medical problem or a medical expense, you could actually roll from your taxable IRA, roll tax-free, institution to institution, to your HSA account, and you can pull that money out for legitimate, approved medical expenses and or premiums. You get a one-time shot with the IRS. Do this one time in your life, up to the full contribution, as long as you haven't put any contributions in that year. And on top of that, if you're over 55, you get another $1,000 for catch-up provision. If I was young again in my 30s and I was a millennial, I would fully fund this before I funded my Roth, before I funded my cash value insurance, before I worked on my equity on my home. I would do this first because I don't have too many things that I can say in the United States under the code where I can get tax deduction and tax-free distribution. The only issue is that the tax distribution, tax-free, is quarantined to medical expenses and medical premiums. Now, Contributions, I talked about the individual limit, $3,350, and the family limit, $6,750, and everybody over that age, $1,000. So if you're 55 and older, I highly recommend, you're going to be spending this money. Don't worry about, hey, will I spend it or not? You will be spending this money. So you need to put $1,000, get the deduction, so you can pull that money out tax-free. And some of the tax advantages are contributions are not only tax-deductible, paycheck deductions excluded from paying Social Security, and tax-free withdrawals for long-term care, medical, and Medicare premiums. I keep bringing this up because many of my boomers that were already doing Medicare, I'm doing Medicare, we already have some of these advantages, and we need to look at that. That could be a good spend down or a save, depending upon what you think about your health. Now, you have a one-time transfer, as I said before, $75.50. You can transfer an additional $1,000, or you can do additional $1,000 for over 55. So it's worth $7,750 to take a qualified IRA one time in your life and move it to a tax-free position without taxation. To me, that's huge. Again, as long as it's used for official medical premiums and Medicare medical premiums and medical expenses. A Roth IRA, if you're not going to use an ERISA product, I want to keep everything tax-free as much as I can. All my distributions from an HSA account and my IRA are not going to infringe on my Social Security. So if I don't really need the deduction, and I think you need to look at this, a Roth IRA could be the way to play. And I don't have an RMD regulation on this. I can go ahead and keep saving it and saving and saving it until I actually need it. So to me, Roth IRAs are tax-free retirement income. Again, remember, we don't get a deduction for this, but it's a great place to put your money, especially, again, if you're not in a high tax bracket and you're not getting a match from your employer. It's flexible, and it has pretty good idea. You can take a retirement account, and it won't trigger a tax bracket. It's free. You can convert qualified plans to Roth IRAs. Now, in the year that you do that, you're going to have to figure out, without bracket bumping you into an additional bracket, can I convert some of my qualified plans into a Roth IRA, which to me would be huge. You'd want to look at that. And then remember, if you have to convert plans, keep doing it if your employer is matching it. But as we get closer, we're going to start converting some of these monies into Roth IRAs. And to me, that is a huge idea, because you want to try to convert as much as possible, not without bumping yourself into additional tax bracket. You want to kind of get this done before you retire. Now, here's how it works. You can open up any time between January 1 of the current year until the due date of the tax return. You have traditional IRAs that can be converted to Roths. You have earning accumulation, tax deferred. The account is usually self-directed, and you can kind of control the investments. Again, you need to take a risk tolerance test to see what that is for you. And a separate spousal Roth IRA may be established for spouse. So not only can you take one, but your spouse can take one. And to me, again, if I don't have a big tax bracket and I can use a Roth, this is where I want to go on this, because to me, Roth IRAs are underused, especially for people who really don't need to be in this tax bracket. Now, when I look at qualified distributions are tax-free if a 5-year holding period is met when you're talking about Roth. And one of the following applies. The owner is over 59.5 and he dies, becomes disabled, or the distributions are up to over $10,000 for the first-time home buyer for an expense for that. The second one is retirement. Assuming compensation, contributions may continue to any age. No mandatory age for starting withdrawals, no minimum for required for when the owner is alive, and qualified distributions are received federally tax-free from a Roth. Those are really good advantages and huge features. And at death, the value of the Roth is included in the owner's federal gross estate. That could be a negative, depending on how big it is. And if the 5-year holding period is met, beneficiaries could receive funds free from federal taxation. So there's a little bit of estate management with Roth that could play great for your beneficiaries under the 5-year rule. And the last one is, of course, a surviving spouse may choose to treat an inherited Roth IRA as his or her own. To me, this is the flexibility that you want to look at Roth. Now, I paired these together because one, HSA accounts have the tax deduction and tax deferred accumulation and tax-free distribution for qualified medical premiums and medical expenses. But a Roth IRA is a great idea because I can take qualified plans and convert it over to Roth. I can use my Roth, and if I don't need my money at 70 and a half, I can let it ride. And I have a lot of people that we know that contact the show and say, Steve, do I need to take this Roth out at 70 and a half? No, you can let it ride. So if you don't really need it, push it forward. So these are some of the concepts. The first two concepts are, I want to have an HSA account, and I want to have a Roth IRA, especially for my mutual funds, ETFs, and annuities. Don't forget to watch our next segment on cash value life insurance and reverse mortgages, part 4 of our series on millennial tax-free retirement. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or compliance officer. And don't forget, you can subscribe to our consumer show, Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. Daily content that you can post on your website, social media accounts, and database distribution. I'm Steve Savant. Thanks for watching.